Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard. If you've never been here before, welcome back. If you have, welcome home. As always, completely and totally dependent on how you are in relation to this channel, these messages, this energy. What we're talking about is Saturn going retrograde on the 17th of June at 12:27 p.m. Central Time. This happens at 7 degrees Pisces. And Saturn will be in retrograde until November 4th, which happens to be my best friend's birthday. Happy birthday, BFF, in the future, at 0 degrees Pisces. So Saturn's retrograde will be completely contained in Pisces all the way down to the 0 degree, which is, that's interesting, right? So Pisces, let's talk first about Pisces energy. Pisces energy is very free-flowing. It's water dominated energy, right? So it's idealistic, it's imaginative, it's very mystical and magical. It's about intuition, vague, right? Maybe kind of, right? It can be adaptable. It can also be avoidant. It can be a little dissociative and very dreamy, right? So Saturn in Pisces is very challenged because Saturn's energy is very practical, very pragmatic, very get shit done. Saturn is all about tradition and reliability. Saturn is about rules and boundaries and restrictions and how we create those for ourselves. So it would never be about shirking our duty. Saturn can represent a lack of faith, in which Pisces really is all about faith, right? Saturn can be about inhibition and karma, but also Saturn can really be about getting things done, right? Saturn asks us to really invest deeply in our habits, in our routine, right? In what supports us. And so Saturn asks us to change from the inside to avoid let's call it the inconvenience of shift and change that comes from the outside, right? So it's about internal motivation. And so Saturn goes retrograde on Saturday. And let's talk about what that means, right? So when Saturn is retrograde, so retrograde motion is when a planet appears to be moving backwards. But what we know is planets never move backwards. It's simply an appearance from our geocentric perspective, right? And so what a retrograde is a time when the energy of a planet pauses. Right? It asks us to turn inside and evaluate all of the places where we might be in misalignment, or the ways that we are in alignment, right? So that those routines and habits and thought patterns can either be affirmed or shifted, right? So any of those places where there is an out of alignment with the way that you desire your life, your reality, your expression to be, right? You get to spend the next few months, right, till the 4th of November, really, ultimately, assessing the ways when you are able to, like how and why you need to get your shit together. And the key here is, okay, fine, we'll just take the 3. That's okay. That's fine. That Saturn is a no excuses energy, right? There is no excuse to Saturn. There is no, gosh, I really like to, but I just can't make the time for that. Because the thing is, Saturn is a really hard taskmaster, right? And so no matter how hard you have to work at it, this is a thing that you simply must do, right? You must assert your will or suffer the consequences. And it's really simple, right? I always say that the only thing that Saturn can use against you is what you leave laying around in the yard. And that is super true. So if you've left a thing undone, right? If you've been eating like crap for the last 2 years, and you wonder why your body is inflamed and fall. Okay, we're just going to let those go too. And you wonder why your body is inflamed and painful. Saturn is the place, right, where you're going to witness those consequences. So Saturn in retrograde says, oh, let me assess my experience, my life, my reality. How are things showing up for me, right? What are my long-term plans? And are they in alignment with my long-term goals? Am I making good use of my time? Am I utilizing my daily routine? Am I creating and embodying the best habits that are going to really create the reality that I'm choosing to be invested in? Because let's face it, your choices are what are creating your reality. And if your choices are piss poor, and then you look at your reality and you're like, wow, my life sucks, I better reevaluate my choices. That's a real valid thing, if that's a real valid thing for you. Or if you're making great choices and have established a great routine, and you're really living within those boundaries that you've set for yourself, then you get to choose what you're celebrating. And if you are feeling like circumstance has you, now is a beautiful time to evaluate the hows and whys and wheres, and choose to perhaps make small changes in your reality and see how they echo out into the broader reality. That is, your full experience. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's also witness that this Saturn retrograde begins just briefly before the Gemini new moon, right? So let's talk about Gemini. A Gemini new moon really offers us a place where we can evaluate our potential, right? Gemini, that first air sign, witnessing every possibility, right? This is why Gemini gets so ground down by the scope of possibility, right? This is why Gemini can be so overly self-critical, overly self-analytical, to the point where they simply get ground into inaction. And so, again, since we're talking about all of the possible ways that you can reevaluate and shift and change your approach, your decisions regarding your habits, your experiences. How am I building the box that is my life, right? How am I building it? And if I don't like it, I get to deconstruct it and rebuild it again. So making sure that you're mindful of the fact that your choices all come with consequences, and you're responsible for those too, right? This is a beautiful time to really stop and evaluate where you may or may not be taking absolute personal responsibility for your choices, for your experience, for your daily habits, for your words, for your thoughts, for your actions, all of those things, right? And then you get to choose how you're putting those into place in line with what you desire to create. Let's just talk here. So we have the Two of Wands, which is about making choices, right? Higher choices based on your desires. We have the King of Pentacles, which is always about knowing that you're fully resourced, right? That Gemini moon begins this Saturn retrograde and says you have absolutely everything you need, right? There's nothing that you could want for that you don't have. Either choice you're making, either choice, either way you're being pulled, you have all that. And the Page of Cups says, put your heart behind it. Make sure that you're feeling your way through this, right? And that your pleasure, your desire is your invitation toward that next level of greatness. How is your structure? How is your choice, right? Where are you going to angle in? Make sure that it's something that's sustainable, right? Make sure that it's something that you're going to want to devote yourself to, because let's face it, motivation is a beautiful thing, but motivation without dedication is 2 days of doing something, right? Get intentional. Here's the deal. The more you understand your why, the easier it is, right? Intention is simply a placing of something out in front of you. I would assert, and often do in most of my classes, that what you're actually doing is making a claim, right? There's more power in making a claim with your feet on the ground. Here I am. This is what my life is all about. I am a person who, I am patient. I am devoted to eating properly. I am a daily meditator. Any of those things that you choose to do, right? Your intention is only as good as your power to claim it. The King of Pentacles says you have full claim. And the Page of Cups says, as long as my heart is in it, I'm aces. So let's talk about this oracle, right? So financial constraints. So Saturn is all about resources, right? So this is, we're going to apply this with this King of Pentacles here to any resource, right? So Saturn is applicable as well to resource, right? And that is value and value, worth and worth, right? All of those things fall in line. This card shows an old-fashioned safe with little money but lots of cobwebs and dust. Resources may be tight at this time, so rein in your spending and be circumspect about the requirements in your life. This is not a time of indulgence, so be aware of what's important and consciously choose your investment, right? There's a big difference between what you need and what you want. This card is asking you to take care of your needs and bide your time. Be willing to live conservatively and always have the value of the good things you already have squarely in your sights, right? So I'm kind of expanding on this. If the money thing applies to you, be mindful. Be mindful that you're making choices, conscious claims of where you are investing based on your long-term desires, right? And understanding that you have every possibility. But during this next 5 months, really choose where you're investing, whether that's money or any kind of resource, right? Whether that's your time, your energy, your thought patterns. Be mindful of, even so much as what are you doing outside of your busy time? How are you choosing to spend your free time, right? If you're sitting in front of the TV just consuming programming, you can't be surprised when A, you're programmed, and B, your time, which is your most valuable resource, right, is gone. So what are you investing in, and what will it bring to you, right? What will it bring to you in return? It's a cost-benefit analysis. That's a beautiful Saturn retrograde awareness. What is the thing that you're investing in bringing to you? Are you leaving something out in your equations? Are you leaving something out in the way that you give, the way that you spend your time, the way that you value your time, right? What's your time worth to you? And what is it worth that you create the structure in which you can fill in your life in the way that you choose, right? So claim your structure and see how easy it becomes to fill that in. in Pisces, right? Being sure that what you're doing is not being swayed by illusion, that you're creating something that is fulfilling and sustaining to your soul, not just a pocketbook or a bank account, but that it really creates that connection to the divine, to your own sense of unconditional love and unconditional value and unconditional worth, right? Without leaving things dangling in the wind. Just be present. Claim what you desire. Build the structure around it, right? And see what happens, right? Through the summer, especially when we have Pluto squaring the moon's nodes, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to really reinforce that scaffolding. So start constructing it now, right? Yeah, big blessings. That is my take on Saturn retrograde. Take care.